What's good, everybody? Back with another video. Just here putting in the daily reps, even though at times you may feel like you don't want to, even though I don't feel like I want to at sometimes, but it's something that has to be done no matter what. Even though at times it feels like you no longer want to continue and you want to quit, that's part of the process. That's how you know that you've stepped outside of your comfort zone. And there might be that self-sabotage, that inner voice trying to get you to go back to being that person that you used to be. Because even to this day, that's something that I still have to deal with as well. And after a while, you do realize that it is part of the process. It is part of the journey. And it lets you know that you're starting to push yourself further than you normally would. Because every now and then we get comfortable. It gets easier to do this stuff. And we find our groove, our rhythm. We get into the routine, we get into the habit, we start getting comfortable, we start easing off because we find what we're doing now easier and easier. And we get caught up in that comfort. And so when you find yourself in that situation, you got to be the one that pushes you forward, that keeps pushing you, that keeps yourself going, because there's not going to be people around for the most part that are going to guide you along your journey. It starts off with only you believing in yourself, and at times you might not even believe in yourself. You have to fight that inner voice, that past voice, that version of you that you used to be. And I think that's the way that I like to look at it. Whenever I hear that voice starting to creep back into my head, I think that that's the old me that's trying to get me to go back to who I used to be. I know a lot of people call it the inner bitch, or whatnot, the little voice, the big voice. But I think that we all have these voices inside of our head, this internal dialogue. And that's something that you're going to have to deal with for the most part for the rest of your life. I mean, I don't think that there's been a day that I haven't had that internal dialogue, where I haven't had to keep myself motivated, to keep pushing myself, to keep talking to myself. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. Because if it wasn't for that internal voice, that internal dialogue that I have with myself, then I wouldn't be here recording these videos. Because when I started making these videos, that's what it was all about. I had nobody to talk to. It was just me trying to keep myself going, trying to keep, pushing myself. And so that became one of my outlets. Is I picked up the camera, I picked up the phone, and not only was it me trying to improve on my communication skills, trying to get rid of that stuttering that I used to have, but it was also me trying to find an outlet. And if it wasn't for that internal dialogue, then I wouldn't be here this day. I wouldn't be here recording these videos. And so that's something that's kept me going. I wouldn't look at it as a bad thing. You just have to be willing to be the one to persevere. That future you has to be the one that perseveres. That person that you want to be has to be the one that perseveres. Not the past you. Don't listen to that voice, because that voice is going to get you to move back to who you used to be, and that's who you don't want to be. And I know that when I first started making these videos, I started off as my intention. See, there I go stuttering again. My intention was to make videos on personal development and self-improvement, because that's how I got started off. I started watching the content. I started off reading the books, and I found myself in a situation or in a point in my life where I wasn't happy. I was drinking, I was smoking, I was partying, and I was doing all this stuff that I thought that was making me happy at that moment. And it was making me happy at that moment. But when I woke up the next day, then I would feel like shit. I would feel like trash. And I could never figure out what it was that was bothering me, that was consuming me. And it was that void, that regret of the things that I did last night, and knowing that I wasn't pushing myself to where I wanted to be. And so now, I think I got a little sidetracked there. I usually do when I make these videos. But when I first started off, that's how I started off. I want to make personal development videos. Now I'm starting to remember. And somewhere along the way, I got lost into just making fitness montage style videos. And even though fitness is a big part of my life, and it has helped me in a lot of ways, if it wasn't for fitness, I wouldn't have developed the body that I wanted to have, nor would I have the confidence that I have today to be able to step in front of the camera. Because that was one of the things that I had, is that I didn't feel comfortable in front of the camera. And so in order for me to do that, I hit the gym and, I put in the work, I put in the grind. I started cranking out the reps and I got in better shape. And so when I got in better shape, that's when I finally had that confidence to step inside in front of the camera. Here I go, stuttering again, something I need to focus on and slow down when I'm talking. And so what I was trying to say is that you don't necessarily have to look a certain way when you step in front of these cameras, in front of this camera. You just have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. And once you can do that, that's when you begin to grow. That's when you begin to change. You're gonna feel awkward. You're gonna feel like it's not you. You're gonna feel like a fraud. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. But that's normal. That's part of the process. You have to persevere. You have to keep pushing through that in order to become that person that you want to be. You have to do it long enough until you become that person. And after a while, that inner voice, that past you, will begin to grow a little bit weaker. It becomes a little bit more quiet and you'll hear it less. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to go away completely, because it's never going to go away completely. It's going to be there every day for the most part. And at times you'll even find there might be days when you don't even hear that voice anymore. It might be that voice inside of you that pushes you, that tells you like, hey bro, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You told yourself you're gonna do this. You told yourself you're gonna go to the gym. You told yourself you were gonna, drop the content. You told yourself that you were gonna record a video today, and you haven't done it. And so after a while, that voice gets a little bit louder, the one that's pushing you, the one that's propelling you forward. And you have to listen to that voice and just tune out the other one. And so I know that it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to do, especially when you're first getting started. Just hang in there, and over time, you will become that person that you want to be. So with that being said, that's all for today's video. I hope that helps y'all guys out. If it doesn't, feel free to drop a comment and I'll get to y'all whenever I get a chance. If you have a video y'all would like me to make, if y'all want me to expand on this topic, if y'all want me to elaborate, let me know and I'll do that. As always, stay focused, stay consistent, stay locked in, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace.